All right, it is the top of the hour, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. This is the Reducing Stress While Using Technology webinar. My name is Melissa Houston, and I am here with my co host, Leah Gunter. We are both faculty support agents with the Center for Faculty Excellence. And today, what we're going to be talking about is reducing stress. A lot of us are working from home right now, and using technology can be stressful. So, during today's webinar, we'll be discussing that topic. So, what we're going to do next is go over some housekeeping items and go over the topics for today. We'll also have time for a nice group discussion and plenty of time for Q&A. These webinars that we've been hosting during COVID have been very casual. We love to have discussion with these webinars. So feel free throughout to be posting messages in the chat area. You can also raise your hand if you would like to be unmuted. But again, if you would prefer to wait until the end, we will have time for Q&A. So here we have our housekeeping slide for Zoom. There's a few items I'd like to go over with you. First, to connect your audio and adjust your settings, there is a button in the bottom left corner for that where you can go in and test your speaker and microphone. You can also change the settings for those there as well. We will be using the chat feature today during today's session, which you can find, you'll see highlighted at the bottom there, the chat bubble icon. So at any point, if you have a question, feel free to put it in there. You'll also have the raised hand feature. So if you would like to use your microphone to speak with us today, feel free to click that button and we will unmute you. Also in this area, you'll see that we have closed captions. So if you need those turned on, you can click the button there. We have disabled the Q&A for this session, but again, you can use the chat function instead. Also up at the top of your screen, if you hover, there's an option to change your view settings. This may be helpful if you would like to change the ratio for the window and also exit full screen mode to see the chat side by side with the presentation today. All right, so we're going to go ahead and open this up here. We're going to start off just by talking about social distancing and technology. And a lot of us, like I said, may be working from home when we typically didn't previously, or maybe working from home more than we were previously, which is going to bring out some new challenges and stresses that were maybe not typical from before COVID. And some of that may be due to an increased use in technology because if we're working from home, we're probably using our computers a lot more often, as well as other devices at the same time. And this is just going to be compounded by the fact that, in general, right now, there's just more stress involved in our daily lives. And then also, because of that increased use in technology, there's more opportunities for problems to happen, which can lead to more frustration. So in 2017, the APA actually focused their Stress in America series on stress with technology. It's a very interesting study. If you have a chance, we do have it linked in the presentation at the end. I highly encourage you to take a look, but I have some statistics here from it that I wanted to share. And basically, what they found is that more frequent use of technology leads to higher levels of stress. So, people who are constant checkers of technology, if you're someone who's really looking at your email a lot, if you're on your cell phone pretty frequently, you might experience more stress than those individuals who aren't constant checkers of technology. And as you can see here, there's a pretty large number who identify as being in that category. And of those who identified as being constant checkers, 18% reported that technology was a significant source of stress for them. So there's definitely a relationship there. And of course, as we all know just from our experiences using technology, stress with technology is probably going to be higher when it doesn't work. So, if you're constantly being connected to a device, that's going to increase your stress. And you can see here that almost half of the people who were involved in the study reported being connected to at least one device during a typical workday. And as we all know, it's probably more likely that it wasn't just one device. There's probably a cell phone, perhaps a tablet involved. So, a lot of constant checking during a typical workday, but also on non work days, so weekends. And as we may have come to realize, working from home, it can be a little bit more difficult to stick to a schedule, especially with our technology. And if you're a constant checker, if that's something that you feel compelled to do, it may be hard even on weekends or after hours to put down the tech and just, leave it. And as a working from home person, I can say that it's a struggle sometimes. And again, we can see here that 23% of those constant checkers who are using technology regularly, both during work days and non work days, report that as a significant source of their stress. And also, they're rating their stress level overall as pretty high, a level 6 out of 10. So checking those work emails all the time can be very stressful. So let's talk about unplugging from tech for now. So 65% of Americans who were included in the study reported that they felt strongly that unplugging technology is important, but only 28% actually reported taking the step. So we can see that even though people acknowledge the importance of unplugging, not very many people are doing that. So we wanted to provide some ideas for making that a little bit easier while we're all working from home and using technology more. So, some ideas would be no use of cell phones or other technology at the dinner table, no devices during family time. When you're not working, turning off those notifications for work apps or work related items on your phone, email, Outlook, any of those, just temporarily mute. Outlook has a really handy feature on the cell phone app that if you go in, you can actually turn it to snooze. Now, this do not disturb setting, you can adjust for however long you want. And it also has settings for during the weekends as well. So you can set it so you don't get that ping for a new email every time it comes in when you're supposed to be taking some time away from tech. And then also limiting daily screen time. So if you are in front of your computer a lot, maybe when you're not on your computer for work, finding something alternative instead, or at least reducing the amount of extra time in front of a screen. So we also have some tips for using tech that can help reduce stress. Because as I said earlier, sometimes when technology isn't working, it's when it's most stressful for the user. So, some helpful tips are just to make sure that your systems are working before you begin for the day or go into an important meeting. Make sure your internet is working and connected well. Check your audio and your webcam just to give you peace of mind going into the day. Also, if you give your work full attention, try to eliminate distractions, which I know right now can be more difficult. It is a difficult time for, reducing the background noise. And that's okay. While you want to give things full attention, I think part of it also is just accepting that right now things are different and things might be more challenging. And at least, with our team, we're very flexible and understanding. We know we're probably going to hear or see a few kids in the background and some pets, and, be flexible with that. Also, when you're facilitating any online meetings, since those are a little bit more frequent right now, it can help to set an agenda with some objectives and talking points. That way, you at least feel a little bit more organized going into it. But again, if something does go wrong with technology, the key is, just work with it. If something suddenly stops working and you have the agenda, just understand that everyone right now knows what each other's going through. and are probably going to be okay if things don't work out exactly as scheduled. It's also recommended just to mute your audio or phone when it's not your turn to talk. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of new things going on in our homes, background noise. So if you're concerned about that, you can always mute your phone line just so those distractions aren't coming through to everyone on the call. And then again, and this is a really good tip that one of my colleagues had, is to find a quiet spot when you are going to actually attend a meeting or a session or webinar. And this isn't necessarily to just, get rid of the background distractions, but also for yourself as a way of self-care. Take that time to get away if you can, have some quiet time. Even if it's a meeting or something you're attending, it can still be a time for you to sit back and relax a little bit while all still being involved. Now, when we're not using devices, or even when we are, we can still engage in some stress relief activities. So, this first slide here, we have some great ideas, including desk yoga. We have breathing exercises, guided imagery. Another good point is that because we are working from home, we may be sitting more than usual. So, as a reminder to ourselves, get up and move about every 30 minutes, even if it's just a stretch or kind of just walk around your living room or your office at home. Just kind of do something to move. Check something off that to do list that might not have to deal with work, just to get away for a little bit, and also to make sure you're staying active. One tidbit, if you have a Fitbit, they have a setting on there that will kind of give you a little vibration on your wrist to remind you to take so many steps an hour. I have that and I love it. Another thing to remember too is that when you're working from home and you're using technology more, it's really important to follow the 20-20-20 rule when you're using devices. And this is to protect your eyesight. Just make sure every 20 minutes that you look at something about 20 feet away for 20 seconds, and then you can look back. So it's a very quick thing that you can do to help relieve some eye strain. All right, and I'm going to let my co-host Leah take this slide.
Thank you, Melissa. One other really helpful way to reduce stress and taking breaks is nature. Step outside for a deep breath of fresh air. They found that several studies that nature improved cognition, mood, and even helped you with your memory. In several studies, just taking a breath of fresh air reduced stress and helped one feel relaxed. They recommend, even feel the grass for 60 seconds or hug a tree. Do something outside to kind of take a break and feel alive again. Laughter is a great stress relief activity. Giggling and laughing can reduce your body's stress response, soothe tension, and help you feel more relaxed. You can think of a funny joke and laugh out loud, or put funny memes and cards, cartoons, or around your computer area or on your at-home office. There's also laughter yoga, or call a friend who always makes you laugh. Another strategy is to find your inner child. Do something fun. Be silly. Color with crayons or play in the sand. Have a popsicle outside. Blow bubbles for a few minutes. Finger paint, sing, or invent a silly little game. Doing something kind of mindless for just a few minutes can help you feel relaxed and create a healthy release of stress. You can also find something seemingly mindless, like, as Melissa mentioned, doing something from your to-do list that requires you to think about something else. Another way to reduce stress is to go for a walk. Even a 5-minute walk can boost your mood, help you feel better, help you feel happier, and increase your creativity. Walking periodically throughout the day also helps you be more productive, helps you be less tired, especially in the afternoon, and also helps you to crave snacks less, which is always a good thing. Walking periodically boosts your creative thinking and your ability to think of new ideas. Walking opens what you might say the free flow of ideas, especially if you're walking outside in nature. So these are a few very simple, very, just a few minutes or even just a few seconds that can significantly reduce your stress. Thanks, Melissa. I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Leah. Okay, so we talked about some tips of things you can do. And on this slide, we have some links to some desk yoga and guided imagery here. So um, the left-hand side here are going to be the desk yoga items. And you can see we included the times there. And the majority of them are 5 minutes or less. And then on the right side, we have some deep breathing exercises and guided imagery videos. The 5 minute and 10 minute there, or excuse me, the 10 minute and the 15 minute guided imagery. Those two are my personal favorites for guided imagery because they combine both what you would typically think of as guided imagery, where you're thinking of like your happy place, like a beach or a mountain, but also you do a body scan. So it's very relaxing. It's really helping you focus on areas of stress. So these are all some really great resources, but this is a very limited list of resources. You can easily do a Google search or a search on YouTube to find just a ton of different helpful stress relief videos. And then again, also, everyone's different. So, what works for one person may not work for another as far as reducing stress and relaxation. So, you kind of just have to find what is helpful for you personally. But we wanted to give you a list to kind of get you started. And I have found, and I know my team, including Leah, have found that those desk yoga exercises are great. Especially my favorite is the neck and shoulders. And I know that the wrist one also is really great, especially since we're, using our hands and typing a lot. So if you have issues with like carpal tunnel or things, that one is really great. So we've also wanted to include some helpful apps that can be useful. These are available on Android and iPhone for the majority of them. And we have broken it down into two different types. So organization, because the more organized you are, the more prepared you are, and the better able you may be to handle if something goes wrong with technology and you feel that increased stress from using technology. So, some of the organization apps that may be helpful are, of course, the Blackboard app, and Blackboard also has an instructor specific app. So, if you just do a search on your phone in the App Store, you can find those. Calendly is a really great calendar app and also a scheduling app. So, for meetings and keeping your calendar up to date, if you find that you're looking for something else other than Outlook, that's a great resource as well. There's also some really good note options for you available, and I've included on here Evernote, OneNote, and Wunderlist. Those are some very popular note taking apps. You may be familiar with OneNote since it's an Office 365 tool, but the other two have some, different features. Evernote includes the option of tagging, and you can actually use the tags to search through your notes, which may be helpful. We also included LastPass, which is a password manager, because I think we all know when you have to change your passwords a lot or you have a lot of passwords, it can be so frustrating if you need to enter them and you may not remember it and then you have to change it. So, being able to have a password manager where you have all of your passwords securely set is super helpful. I believe LastPass also can give you recommendations for passwords for high level secure passwords, which is super helpful as well. And then we have Todoist, which is basically like to-do list. You can add items that you need to get done and check them off as you do them. I'm going to pause here because I see we have a couple items in the chat. Oh, Wunderlist is gone. It migrated to Microsoft To Do. That is a very helpful point. I do have Wunderlist on my device, and I was not aware of that. So we will all definitely have to check that out. Thank you so much. But again, great alternatives to that if it is no longer available are Evernote and OneNote. They had a lot of similarities, and now I guess Microsoft To-Do List also. So another good option to check out. Okay, and some relaxation apps. These are all very popular. They're some of the highest rated apps in the different app stores, whether it's Apple or Google. And these all help you with meditation and deep breathing. So give them a give them a check out. I really personally I like Calm. I use that app as well as the Insight Timer, and they give you options for different guided exercises with relaxation. And then Insight Timer allows you to kind of like set aside time to focus and relax by yourself. All right, we also have some computer apps, and I'm going to hand this back over to Leah.
Thank you, Melissa. I don't know if you're like me, but when I get working, sometimes I lose track of time. I don't even realize that a whole day may have gone by and I didn't even get up from my computer. So we have a list here for some really helpful apps that you can install on your computer. We have a list for your PC and a list for your Mac that can help you remind you to take breaks. All of these apps are somewhat customizable, and I'll point out which ones are free. The majority of this list are free, and there's just two that you can pay a little bit and have some additional options and coaching along with it. The first app here for a PC is called WorkWave. This one has been around for quite a few years, and I have personally used this one and I love it. It has different micro breaks, rest breaks, stretch breaks, eye resting breaks, and daily work limits. So you can set this for a few seconds to just stand up and stretch. If you select a stretch break, it will actually show a little icon of a little person doing the stretch along with you. And it's a great way to remind you to get up, move, breathe for a minute, close your eyes, blink, stand up and stretch, and a good way to just, break up your workday. Break Reminders 10 is also a customizable reminder where you can set your active hours, and daily limits as well. And it's very simple to use as well. Awareness allows you to set a timer on your menu bar for your computer, and it counts down the time that you have been active on your computer. Once you reach a specific period of time that you have, pre-selected, without taking a break, it will send you a reminder saying, hey, it's time to step away and take a quick break. Stretchly is a great reminder app to stretch, to walk around, and it will guide you through whatever break time you select, whether you choose short or long ones. It'll walk you through the stretch and just remind you to break up your workday and move a little bit. The Big Stretch Reminder is a free app, and all of these that I've talked about so far are free. The Big Stretch Reminder is another free app that allows you to create more stretch reminders and set intervals of work time where you can be totally uninterrupted. And after that interval is up, then it reminds you, okay, why don't you stand up and take a big stretch and move around for a little bit. The PC Work Break is a subscription. And one single computer license, gives you lifetime upgrades. It reminds you to take breaks. in stretches, it includes eye breaks and, different exercises that you can do standing or sitting at your desk. Flow time is a timer based on what they call the Pomodoro method, which is basically a 25-minute work period uninterrupted, followed by a 5-minute break. So flow time works with the PC and the internet browser Chrome to set your 25-minute work times and then have you take a 5-minute break. iLeo is a free app that gives your eyes a rest. This is based on the 20-20-20 rule that Melissa described, where every 20 minutes you look away from your computer and look at something about 20 feet away for 20 seconds. iLeo will actually dim your screen when it's time to take a break so that it forces you to take a break. But if you are in the middle of something important, you can skip it or turn it off. iCare is another app that is designed based on the 20-20-20 rule that also works with Chrome, that allows you to take breaks and actually lists and walks through eye strengthening exercises so that you can, give your eyes a rest at times and then also look at different angles for a period of a few seconds to give your eyes a rest. For the Mac, awareness is also an option, and it is free as well. And again, this allows you to keep track of your active time, your active working time on your computer. And then at certain intervals that you have selected, it will remind you to take a break. Timeout allows you to set reminders to take breaks. Typically, the standard is about a 50-minute work period with a 10-minute break. And then you can also have it remind you to take what they call micro breaks, which are 10-second breaks every 10 minutes. This can have you look somewhere else or stand up or just, close your eyes for a minute, just take a quick break. Be Focused is a timer. It's the equivalent of flow time for the PC, where this one will work with the Mac, where it allows you to have a 25-minute uninterrupted work period followed by a 5-minute break. And as with all of these apps, some of it may just be trial and error. You may not realize, I want, maybe 25 minutes is not long enough for an uninterrupted work period, and you want to change that. The nice thing about these apps are they are customizable. If you don't like one, you can always try another one. And the majority, with the exception of PC Work Break, are free. And so you can download them and try them out. Give them a shot. They're pretty easy. They have lots of reviews and lots of instructions. And if, you may find that, you find just the one that you're looking for to help you take a break and keep you on track while reducing stress at the same time. Back.
Thank you, Leah. And again, with all of these different apps and any of the phone apps, computer apps that we're talking about, these are just, a very condensed list of what's out there. As Leah mentioned, sometimes it's just finding what works for you personally. Another item I'd like to mention while we're on computer apps that's included in Outlook and is an Office 365 app is called Insights. It is in your email and also its own app that you can find through the faculty portal. And it doesn't give you reminders or anything, but you will get the occasional email about it. And what you can do with this tool is you can see how you're spending your time during the workday. It is synced with Outlook, so it's going to be specific to the calendar. So any meetings that you have scheduled, any emails. So you can see how often you're working over your hours, how often you're checking your email, how often you're in meetings versus have time to focus on other activities for work, and also who you're collaborating with doing emails and meetings. So that's another great tool that is available to you with your Walden account. Okay, so we have some other ideas here, and these are non-technology specific, but at the same time, things that can help if you need to just cope with using technology or need a break from it. So, one thing that I do, and I know many others, it's a common practice, is if you feel that you are getting stressed a lot and you just kind of need to figure out what your stressors are, you can develop an action plan based on what you know um, is affecting you. Maybe keep a log of when you get stressed or the things that seem to be increasing your stress while using technology, and figure out, okay, so this is what I'm having an issue with. This is what is causing me stress. What do I do when this happens again? So, for example, we used the password example earlier. If you find your stress level rising when you're having to, deal with login credentials or multi factor authentication, and you know that that's something that might increase your stress, developing a plan for what to do when you have to encounter that. And maybe that's how a password manager could help. Also, things like creating a daily to do list, whether it's for work or not, could help. It could also help you schedule your day so you know kind of what to expect. And of course, last minute things come up, but it can just help you kind of plan things out. If you're a planner, that could really help reduce stress. Another thing that I'm sure we've been hearing a lot of is setting aside time for yourself, self care, taking a mental health day or taking a mental health, 5 minutes, anything that could be helpful. In a previous webinar, kind of the sister webinar to this, about social distancing and connecting with people, one of our participants mentioned that they were hosting a virtual support group, and we loved that idea. So maybe hosting or even attending a similar type of group just to, commiserate with each other, have discussions, talk, whatever you need to do to kind of feel that community and also just kind of get things off your chest. That can be very helpful. One thing I did recently that was a lot of fun and helped with relaxation was having an at home spa day. I know one of my colleagues also, her daughter did that for Mother's Day, and that's just such a great idea. If you can't get to, a spa or salon right now, maybe just do some things at your own home. Order some things from a local business that that would be nice to have for relaxation, and just spend some time doing that for yourself. Also, you could listen to music and create playlists for different moods. That way, you can sing along, listen to some of your favorite songs. If you feel yourself getting stressed and music relaxes you, that could be a great idea. And then also finding a new low stress hobby, since we are in front of our screens a lot more right now, finding something maybe that doesn't involve a screen. We have some ideas listed here. There are adult coloring books, which have been shown to help with relaxation and stress. Um, if you enjoy reading, you could join. There are virtual book clubs and also reading challenges that are pretty neat. You could take up needlepoint or model making, crochet or knitting. There's always cooking. A lot of people are sewing masks. So if you're into sewing, maybe get that sewing machine out and do some masks that you could donate. And also gardening has really picked up. A lot of people are creating their own victory gardens at home again. So you could start that. But again, I want to highlight the low stress part. If you take something on and you feel that it is actually increasing your stress, maybe put it away and try something out. All right, I saw that we had a lot of chats coming in. So this is a good time to go over those. We also have our discussion activity here. So I'm going to take a look at the chat really quick and see what is happening in here, read some out loud. Let's see here. Okay, so we do have some people who are using the adult coloring books, crocheting, cooking, and gardening. Yes, those are great. And also, again, mentioning the family online meetings. Zoom doesn't just have to be for work, it can be for fun. And that's what our previous webinar was about, was connecting using technology. So if you were there, you may be familiar with it. If not, that is available on the CFE website in the webinar archive, as will this presentation as well. Okay, so we do see that. So I'm going to open it up for discussion now. You can see on your screen we have some prompts. So feel free in the chat area. Just make sure if you're comfortable, that you're writing to all panelists and attendees. That way we can all see. If not, feel free. You can privately post just to the panelists. That's okay too. We want to just kind of hear from you about how you're reducing stress while working from home. Have you tried any specific strategies, or any like apps or other resources that maybe you found helpful? Um, any technologies that have improved your working from home experience, and just any other experience, resource, or idea you want to share. And you see some items coming in. Feel free to raise your hands as well if you would like to be unmuted, and I'm happy to do that. So family Zoom, that's awesome. Even the teenagers participated on Mother's Day. That's great. Online shopping at lunch. I love that. I've been online shopping myself and trying to support local businesses and small businesses. So those are both great. What else do we have? Any specific apps that anyone's used, or strategies for managing working at home? And again, that chat area you can find at the bottom of your screen. You may need to hover over for it to pop up, but there will be a little chat bubble icon. And also, if you would like to raise your hand, that's there as well. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands, or, oh, there we have a new chat here. Um, Day one, it helps keep everything I've done in a day concise, like pictures, events, etc. Okay, great. That's a good suggestion. I definitely like any app that is kind of all in one, all encompassing, where you can do multiple things at once, just, so it's easier to get to everything. So that's a great suggestion. All right, I am going to move to the next slide, but anyone who's still typing, feel free to put that in the chat. Okay, so now it's time for Q&A. I know that we were kind of going through the chat as we were presenting today, but if you have any more questions or comments, if you still want to participate in the discussion, feel free to add that. Okay, so can you load the PowerPoint so we have the program links? Yes. So after the presentation, probably tomorrow or early next week, I will be uploading the recording for the presentation, as well as the slide deck that we shared today with all those links, onto the Center for Faculty Excellence website. There is a webinar archive on there where you'll be able to find this information. And if you do have any questions about where to locate that, or where the recording is, or any other questions about anything we've gone over today, including how to use some of these apps, feel free to reach out to the faculty support agents. I will put our email address in the chat area for you so you can reach out. That way you can have access to that as well. Feel free to, if you would like to learn more about any of apps or computer programs we talked about today, we are happy to help you get set up using those, or make suggestions, perhaps for others if you have anything you're curious about. We can also do demos of different programs and apps, so feel free to reach out. And then again, just to mention another resource that we would, definitely like to provide to you is ourselves. The faculty support agents, of course, are your number one resource for help with technology. If you find yourself having any difficulties with any technology that you're using in your classrooms or externally, please reach out to us. We can help you not only learn how to use that tech, but also, just help answer your basic questions, guide you to resources or things you may need. If there's something that you haven't used before, like an app or a program, and you're curious about it, we can answer your questions. So please feel free to use us as a resource as well. Okay. All right, another just helpful resource for you, the FSAs. We are on social media. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. So you will be able to go to our pages here. We have our handle as well as some of the hashtags we use. Feel free to look us up and follow us on social media. All right, so we'll be able to view the chat for others participating. So the chat was a little quiet today, but I will make sure to include that as well. And it will be anonymous, so you'll just be able to see anything that was posted. Yes, good questions. The FSAs also have a podcast. We release a new episode monthly. So we have that as well on SoundCloud, and I have a link in here. So if you would like to subscribe to our podcast or just listen to the episodes, you can find us there. And here is the reference to the Stress in America series about technology and social media that was done by the American Psychological Association. So we've included that link here as well. And now we're at our close here. We thank you so much for attending today's webinar. My colleague Leah has put in the CFE webinar survey. We would so appreciate any feedback you have for us if you have a chance to fill that out today. If not, again, this presentation will be available to you in the webinar archive on the CFE website. Also, I've listed our email address again in the slide. And if you're ever interested and would like to attend a one-on-one session with one of the FSAs, I have the link to the bookings page where you can schedule some time to meet with us. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for attending again today. Please, please stay safe and stay healthy as you're working from home. Have a great afternoon, everyone.